After just 4 regular season games, is it already time for Detroit Pistons fans to have some panic about this team? We'll break that down and talk about why probably should calm down just a little bit in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDINNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And also, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Pistons Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with an all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. I'll include the link in the description below. Later on in the podcast, I'll have some big man questions concerning, obviously, the Pistons big men, not actual big men. You guys get what I was trying to say. The front court. Have some questions concerning some of their players in the front court. And also, later on, reason for hope. There is reason to believe the Pistons will be breaking their losing streak really soon. We'll talk about that a little later as well. But I want to start off with talking about whether it's time to panic if you're Pistons fans. The quick and short answer is no, absolutely not. And I don't think any other fan base or any other community, I feel like you have to tiptoe around and kind of be careful with this kind of thing. Because I don't think many other fan bases have gone through what that you guys have went through over the last few years. And that is the worst season in franchise history last year. Back-to-back-to-back seasons of disappointment, back-to-back-to-back seasons of falling in the draft. Like, it's been nonstop negativity for the Pistons fan base over the last 3 to 4 years. So then to open up this season after witnessing what happened last year, after witnessing that losing streak, and witnessing how they lost last year, to then open up this year with losing 4 straight games, 3 games you had a chance to win in the fourth quarter, you just didn't do it. I understand why everyone's like, here we go again. It's over with. This is the same story. This team's never going to pull it together. It's already over. The season just started, but the season's over already. I understand those who feel pessimistic, and I understand those who are, quite frankly, done with the losing. I understand. However, I have to be the one to bring some level of reason. I have to. Because while I understand that everyone is starting off the season 0-4 is not something anyone wants to do. I completely get that. I need everyone to understand it is just 4 games. It is just 4 games, and there is 82 games in an NBA season, and things can turn just like that in an NBA season. I need everyone to please just take a breather for 5 seconds. The season's not over. Not reason to panic yet. It's just 4 games of the regular season. Now, does that mean you can't analyze these 4 games? No. Does that mean that everything you've seen in these 4 games is great? No. There's reason to be disappointing throughout the first 4 games. That's fair. But to freak out like I see a lot of the Pistons community already freaking out, I need everyone to just hit the brake pedal for just a second. It's only 4 games. I saw a stat earlier. The Detroit Pistons have had the toughest schedule in the NBA through the first 4 games of the year. And before the year, I told you guys they had an absolute gauntlet of a schedule to start the season up. So once the Pistons get past this crazy gauntlet of a start of the season, I think you'll start to see them pull some stuff together. I'd like to see them play just normal good teams and not the best teams in their conference. Like, I'd like to see them go against the Hornets, the Hawks, the Rockets, even the Heat. I thought they should have won this game against the Heat. But I'd like to see them play again against the Heat in group stage of the Cup. The Raptors, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Hornets, the Magic, the Raptors, the Grizzlies. Like, I'd like to see them play those games. I'd like to see them play those teams. And that's what I just named off is their entire schedule next month. Once they get past this early gauntlet, they are going to have games against the Nets, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Rockets, the Heat. You got to play the Bucks. But then you got the Raptors, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Hornets, the Magic, the Raptors, the Grizzlies, the Pacers. Then you get a little bit of a tough back-to-back against the Sixers and the Bucks. And then you got the Celtics again, so that's a tough little three-gamer right there. But then you got the Jazz. Like, the schedule starts to soften up. Now, am I sitting here saying that the Pistons are going to go 100% over that stretch and all of a sudden they're going to be an above 500 team? No. Eventually, you have to win some games against teams that are better than you, and you're not expected to win. That is fair. But their schedule is going to line up. I believe they're going to win more games once they get past this early gauntlet, and they're going to be all right relative to the expectations that people had before the year. I want to throw this out there as well. The Detroit Pistons started off 2-1 last year, and everyone thought it was amazing. Everyone thought the season was coming. This was finally the year everyone was waiting for. And then they went on to lose 27-28 in a row. That was a 3-game sample size. Everyone was ready to declare, oh, we're here. And then 27-game, ripped off, just like that. My point in saying that is these are way too small of a sample size. These games, too small of a sample size for people to be making any declaration of any kind that's granular and be panicking over the first 4 games. It's too small of a sample size. The season can change just like that. I also want to bring up a few years ago, the Orlando Magic, the team that everyone is loving right now. By the way, Paolo had an absolute crazy performance the other night. That was wild. But the Magic team that everyone seems to love now, just a few years ago, I believe 2 years ago, started off the season 5-23 or 5-25, something like that. And then they went on a run in the second half of the season and had everyone believing, okay, they're on their way up. And guess what? They were on their way up and they are now here. But even they started off 5-25, something around there, 5-23 or 5-25. They started off somewhere around there, had a terrible opening start to the season, and flipped it around. Because at the end of the day, 82 games is a lot of games. In 4-game sample sizes, you should not be making any declaration, should not be panicking over what you've seen from the Pistons. You want to know the easiest way for the Detroit Pistons to start winning games? Their veterans to start hitting shots that they've hit throughout their entire life. Does anyone think that Tobias Harris is going to continue to shoot 37% from the field? Even those who are that were not fans of the contract, were not fans of signing him, does anyone actually believe that Tobias Harris is, going to continue to shoot 37% from the field? I don't think anyone expects that. Is anyone going to think that Simone Fontecchio is going to continue to shoot 27%? I don't think anyone thinks that. Does anyone think that Malik Beasley is going to go out there and shoot 1 of 12 from the field over and over? No, I don't think anyone thinks that. So the easiest way, the easiest way to look at this is that the Detroit Pistons just need their guys to start hitting shots that they brought in to hit shots like they've done throughout their entire career. And once they do that, their offense will look better. The offense will solve itself. I'm not worried about the offense. I don't think you should either. The offense will be fine. It will pick up. Guys will start hitting shots, and they'll figure it out. They'll be better offensively. They'll score more points. Right now, through 4 games, they're 19th in the NBA in offensive rating. So despite the fact that guys aren't really hitting shots like that, they're still hovering around middle of the league. Once guys start hitting shots, I think they should be pretty comfortably in the top half offensively. Like, they have the firepower to do it, and this is without their guys really hitting any threes right now. So the offense will be fine. Everyone needs to slow down. They're going to be okay offensively, and that will carry them throughout games. The one area that I will say you should panic about, and you should have been panicking before the season even started, is their defense as long as Asar Thompson is gone. Because I don't know where the answer for that is coming from. They're 25th in the NBA right now defensively, and I feel like that's out of JB just willing that from them. Him getting them to 25th with the personnel he has, honestly, I want to clap it up for JB just through 4 games because their defense is really bad. And they don't have good defensive personnel. I don't know how they solve that. That one I'm going to be interested to see how they solve. But offensively, they will get better. If some of their veterans just hit a few more shots, they probably win 1 or 2 of these games. And at the end of the day, everyone just needs to relax because it is just 4 games played. The 2 guys that everyone wanted to see play well together in Cade and Jaden Ivey are playing extremely well together. Both those guys are playing extremely well. Both of them. They're playing really well. And those are the two guys that was the biggest question throughout the offseason, whether those guys were going to be able to play well together. That was the biggest question that needed to be answered. And through 4 games is being answered with a resounding yes. They're looking good. So it's not, I understand it's 0-4. And I'm nowhere near trying to say not to care that they're 0-4. They can't keep losing games. They can't keep fumbling games away in the fourth quarter. Guys got to hit shots, Cade included. Cade has to be better in the fourth quarter. Like, all that can be true. And also, it can be true that you should not be panicking after 4 games. 4 games is quite literally nothing. Let's just calm down and take a breather. So, is there reason to panic? No. The Pistons just need to see one drop, see a win get in the win column, and I think you'll start to see them flowing. They just need the dam to be broken. Once they do that, they'll be fine. Once they make it out of this early stretch, I think you'll start to see more wins piled up. But let's just relax and get to that point, make it out of here. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you guys believe it's already time to panic for the Detroit Pistons, or are you calming down? Are you relaxed and waiting to see how they do moving forward? Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. When we come back, I have a few questions about how the Pistons are utilizing a certain big man on their roster. We'll talk about that when we come back. I'm a procrastinator. I wait to the last second with just about everything, and it often screws me over when it comes to buying tickets, whether it's to a concert, movie event, a sporting event, you name it. I often get screwed over with prices, with seats, but with Game Time, I'm saved in both regards because Game Time has last-minute deals all the way up again to the last minute, and sometimes even after the event has already started, that deal is still there. Along with that, you can also see the view from your seat within the app, so you're not strung up to the event. Oh, terrible seats. Shouldn't have gotten these tickets. Hate this place. No, you got Game Time. You see right in the app whether these seats are for you, whether you will like them or not. And then also, obviously, you've got the last-minute deals. Like I mentioned, you also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. It's another great way to support the podcast. Some quality of life stuff real quick before we get to the next segment. Subscribe to Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. It's amazing. You guys will enjoy it every single day with your podcast as well. More content for you guys. LockedOnDaily.com. I'll put the link in the description below. Also, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. We'll be having breakdowns over every Pistons game over at KukaHill on YouTube. We'll have those film breakdowns for you. You guys will enjoy that as well. And also, I want to let you guys know we have an Insiders program for Locked On Pistons coming up. You guys may be asking, what's the Insiders program? Well, if you guys subscribe to a monthly fee, you guys will be able to text with me one-on-one, have conversations with me at any moment, talk with me about anything Pistons related. You guys will get to know me a little bit more. I'll get to know you guys one-on-one a little bit more. I also send out to you guys individually one-on-one Piston news, any Piston rumors, anything I'm hearing, immediate first chance at any content, whether it be Locked On Pistons or content I'm doing. You guys get it sent directly to your phone, and you will have the ability to text me one-on-one and have conversations with me one-on-one, probably about the Pistons, but honestly about anything. So that's coming soon. Stay tuned, probably within this week. You guys will enjoy that. So I'll let you guys know once we have further details on that. That will probably be around by the end of the week. You guys will enjoy that. I think that will be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and get into the next segment. I have some questions about how the Pistons are utilizing a certain big man, and that is Isaiah Stewart. So before I get into Stu specifically, I do want to say the Pistons have a problem, not just in their front court, but like throughout their roster, and it's been like this for years, where they have to pick defense or offense. You can't ever have defense and offense with this team, with this roster, with this franchise. You're either picking someone who's good defensively and can't give you anything offensively, you're picking someone who can give you offense and can't give you anything defensively. And it's the same thing in their big man room. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how JB handles that. Because like we mentioned on the last episode, the Pistons have went switch-heavy defense in the second half of a lot of their games, especially against Boston. And with Isaiah Stewart on the floor, with that lineup of Malik Beasley and Simone Fontecchio in that Boston Celtics game, it was thriving. They were taking a big lead. They were playing extremely well because Isaiah Stewart is a switching big man. That is his superpower defensively. So you can do that. However, he doesn't give you a lot, which we'll get to in just a second. Just follow with me here. He doesn't give you a ton offensively as a roller, as a screener, etc. So you're kind of giving up a little bit offensively. With Duren, you're getting a lot of that offensively, but you're not getting that switchability defensively, and you're getting those struggles defensively. The on-off between Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart defensively when they're on and off the floor is astronomical. The Pistons are nearly 20 points better with Isaiah Stewart on the floor defensively through just 4 games. Now, it's an incredibly small sample size. Don't want to read too crazy into it, but it matches the eye test and what we've seen over the last few years. So I'm paying attention to that, and I want to know how JB goes about handling that. It's just a problem the Pistons have throughout their entire roster. Same thing last year, man. They can't have someone that can just do both. They always have to pick between, okay, either you get defense and no offense, or you get offense and no defense. It's quite frustrating to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. But with that said, I know I said Isaiah Stewart doesn't offer you a much offensively, but, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, we spent the last 2 to 3 years being forced to watch Isaiah Stewart at the 4 position and forced to watch him take threes because we were told that that was a big development in his career. We were told that three-point shooting had to be a big part of his game. We were told that three-point shooting was what he was going to bring to the offensive side of the floor because he's not a great finisher and not a great lob threat, and he doesn't have the greatest hands. So we were told that his three-point shooting is what he was going to bring to this team that made him especially valuable as a backup 5. It was not his finishing ability. It was not his lob threat. It wasn't his screening. It was the fact that the Pistons finally had a stretch 5 that could switch defensively. That's what we were sold for 3 years. For 3 years, that's what we were told. And now to start the year, after last year, Isaiah Stewart took 3.8 attempts a game on 38% from deep. The year before that, he took 4.1 attempts a game, 33% from deep. So over the last 2 years, we saw him take those amount of threes. And then the first 4 games this year, he has 0.3 threes taken. You heard that correctly. I didn't say 1.3, 2.3, 3.3. He has 0.3 threes taken. He has 1 3 taken in this entire season. It was against Indiana in their first game. Isaiah Stewart is averaging 2.5 points a game. He was 0 of 3 against Miami. Now look, I'm gonna get a little bit frustrated if this keeps happening because before last year, I was not high on Isaiah Stewart. His offensive deficiencies really made me not. I was not a fan of his before this past year. Then this past year, he was one of their better defenders, and he actually was shooting the 3 ball well. He shot 38% from deep. He was a legit fine 3-point shooter at that position, and I saw him improve. So I did a complete 180 on Isaiah Stewart. I was like, okay, he actually showed me he could shoot. That's valuable at the 5 position. Having a stretch 5 that can switch and shoot from beyond the arc so you can go 5 out, that's valuable. I'm a fan. He's won me over. That was after last year. So if you're telling me we went through all of that and I did this 180 for no reason for you to just not have him shoot threes anymore, I need to understand why. The way in which the Detroit Pistons are using him, I don't think I've seen him pop more than 3 times. Anytime he sets screens, he is rolling. He's rolling to the basket almost every single time. Almost every single time. And he's not a good finisher for his position. He doesn't have great hands for his position. Overall, actually, not even just for his position. He doesn't have the greatest hands. And he can't really jump that high, which means he's not a great lob threat either. His value, his specialty is supposed to be a 5-man that can shoot threes, that can pop and make defenses guard out on the perimeter, bring that center away from the basket. And the Pistons are not only not having him pop, they're also doing something else that is extremely confusing to me. So they're having him play with Ron Holland, right? Which on its face before the year makes sense. Because if you're going to play one of the non-shooters, you need to play him with a 5-man that can spread the floor. Makes sense, right? So you play Ron consistently with Isaiah Stewart so you don't have two non-shooters on the floor. Correct? You get it? Okay. When they have them on the floor in the half court, you got Ron spotting up and Stu running pick and rolls. Not pick and pops, pick and rolls. So what you're seeing happen within the half court offense with Isaiah Stewart on the floor, and he's sharing most of his minutes with Ron Holland. What you're seeing happen is Ron Holland's in the corner, his defender's tagging all the way down to the paint, almost not even tagging really, just sitting in the paint. And you have Isaiah Stewart rolling into that with not being a great finisher, with not having greatest hands. You got Stu rolling into that, his defender trailing him going in. The Pistons pick and roll guard, Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, by the way, they're both in the top 5 in most points per game in the paint. So they both like to get to the paint. You got 3 guys trying to get to the paint. You got the Pistons ball handler, or actually more than 3 guys. The Pistons ball handler, the guy guarding the Pistons ball handler, the big man defender, the Stu rolling, and then Ron Holland's guy helping down. So you got 5 guys like crashing down to the paint. And then you're kicking out to Ron Holland, who's not a threat to shoot. Defenses are giving it to him. And over the last few games, you've seen him pass up open threes to try and drive into 5 people at the rim, which is not a good decision. So you're defeating, basically what I'm trying to say, you're completely defeating the purpose of why you wanted to do that. Like the whole purpose of Isaiah Stewart on the floor with Ron Holland is so you can spot Stu up, take advantage of his spacing, and then you can allow Ron to kind of roll around the paint, take advantage of the spacing in the paint, and whoever is on the floor with them, whether it be Cade or Ivey, so they have the relative spacing they need offensively and still can create good looks. And they're just not doing that. That's the one thing I'm just completely and utterly confused about. I don't know why they're not doing this through just 4 games. Now, it is just 4 games, okay? Just 4. But through those 4 games, the Pistons' offensive rating with Isaiah Stewart on the floor is 104.29. It's an 8-point difference from when he's off the floor, where they have a 112.45 offensive rating. Now, if you add Ron Holland to the mix, so you look at the duo of Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart, they've shared a lot of minutes together, but it is just 4. Again, it's 4 games, small sample size, but it's matching the eye test. Like it's the process and the eye test makes sense. When they both share their floor, the Pistons are minus 17.1, and they have an offensive rating of 100. And I don't understand why they're playing Isaiah Stewart this way. The whole point of the last 3 years was to develop his 3-point shot, and now that he finally got there, now he's not even taking them. Now he's not even spotting up. If you're going to play Stu and Ron together, spot Stu up and have Ron run some of the role that Asar did last year towards the back end of last year when they finally started using him in pick and rolls. Use Ron as the pick and roll guy. Get him flowing to the basket. Get his man in the pick and roll. So then if they want to help off someone else on the weak side, that guy can actually hit the 3. You can actually make them pay. Running pick and rolls with Stu, he can't finish at the rim, and now you're just having Ron Holland's guy help down the pick and roll. You're not going to generate good looks. It doesn't make sense process-wise. It doesn't make sense with the eye test, and it's not making sense with the numbers. I'm really confused about why they're doing it this way with Isaiah Stewart offensively. I just think it doesn't make much sense, and it's actively hurting their offense doing it. So that's my big question, man. Stu proved that he could shoot last year. Let him shoot. Post him or space him up. Space him out. Have him pick and pop. I don't know if it's something JB's telling him to do. I don't know if it's maybe something Isaiah Stewart wants to do. Either way, it's not helping the team. That's one change that has to happen from the first 4 games. Stu has to start taking threes. He has to start spacing. And if he's going to be on the floor with Ron Holland, have Stu space more and run action with Ron Holland and get his guy in the pick and roll so they can't help. Simple. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. Do you guys agree? Disagree with me here? Do you guys think Isaiah Stewart should be taking more threes? Again, let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. Coming up, there's reason for hope for the Detroit Pistons to break their losing streak as soon as tomorrow, or if you're listening to this on the 30th, tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So like I've mentioned many times before, subscribe to the Locked On Pistons Daily Newsletter. I have the link in the description for you guys. Subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, where you'll get Pistons film breakdown, and also stay tuned for the Insiders program, where you'll be able to text one-on-one with me. You'll get immediate updates from me, texted directly to your phone. You'll be texting. It's not anything. You'll be getting a literal text from me. Piston news, Piston rumors, anything I'm hearing, content. You'll be the first person to get all of that. And also, you can have one-on-one conversations with me. Ask me any questions, and I'll answer them for you. You'll be able to get to know me a little more. I'll get to know you a little bit more. So stay tuned for that coming this week. But over the last few days, I've said on the podcast, the Pistons have to win this Heat game. They have to win this Heat game. They have to win this Heat game. And one of the main reasons why I was saying that was because right after the Heat game, you got the Sixers, then the Knicks. And the Pistons could very well start off 0-6. And you don't want that. And I had been saying Joel Embiid and Paul George, according to reports, it sounds like they are targeting the Pistons game to be their return date. And that was the truth. It had been reported they were trying to come back for the Pistons game. However, according to reports today, on the 29th, both Paul George and Joel Embiid will be out against the Pistons tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Or on the 30th, whenever you guys listen to this, the 30th against Philadelphia in Philly. They will not be playing. Thank God. Thank God, man. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The Pistons need a break. This is their break right here. Now, if they cannot win this game against the Sixers without Paul George, without Joel Embiid, fully healthy, with some rest, they have 2 days off or a day off. If they cannot win that game, it's only 5 games. I'm not going to go panic mode. But if you can't win that one, I'm going to be like, I don't know what I would say. I don't know what I'm going to say if they can't beat the Sixers tomorrow without Joel Embiid and Paul George. You have to win that game. You just have to. Tobias' revenge game, back in Philly, maybe he snaps out of his funk, goes crazy, you feel me? But all seriousness, like without Joel Embiid to punish the mismatch at the big man position with Jalen Duren, and without Paul George really taking advantage of the fact that the Pistons don't have anyone relative to his size to guard him on the defensive end with Asar Thompson out, the Pistons should be able to get away with their 3-guard or, whatever, if you want to call THJ a wing, I guess, but he's 6'5". Their 3-guard starting lineup, they should be able to get away with playing relatively smaller. They should be able to get away with Jalen Duren struggles defensively because there's not really someone on the Sixers at the big man position that's really going to make him pay or go after him. The matchup is much, much, much better now for the Pistons, and they should be able to win this game. And they should crack this losing streak, and they should be 1-4 after this game. If they're not 1-4 after this game, I don't know what to tell you guys. Then they have the Knicks back right after that game. If they lose to the Sixers, they're not going to beat the Knicks. They will be 0-6 going against Brooklyn. And that will be the next time you have to hope for a win. I'm telling you right now, I really don't think they can beat New York at all. I think they will. I'm telling you right now, I think that the Pistons are going to lose by at least 15 plus to the Knicks. The Knicks have Cat, who can space the floor out. The Pistons can't guard stretch bigs. Cat is probably the best stretch big in the entire NBA, along with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. It's just, they're not beating the Knicks. If they beat the Knicks, I'd be utterly shocked. That matchup is almost worse than the Indiana matchup to open up the year because of their ability to stretch the floor out at the 5 position. So they have to win this game against Philadelphia tomorrow. They have to win. They have the matchup now. They don't have to worry about Embiid. They don't have to worry about Paul George. You have all of your guys healthy. Go get the win. Simple as that. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked. Actually, let me not go that far. I was going to say I wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons were favored in this game. But I don't think the Pistons will be favored in any game they play until they win one finally. So take that back. But I will be probably taking the money line over on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, by the way. I will probably be taking the money line for the Pistons tomorrow. I don't see how they can lose that game. If they do, I'll have nothing to say to you guys. Wouldn't know. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. How do you guys feel about this matchup against the 76ers without Paul George and Joel Embiid? Is this a must-win for the Detroit Pistons? I got to say, I think this is about as close to a must-win in Game 5 of an NBA regular season that has 82 games as you're going to get. I think it's the closest you're going to get to a must-win. So let me know, comment section down below, or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Pistons. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Subscribe to Locked On Pistons Daily Newsletter. Subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Kuka Hill for film breakdown. And stay tuned for the Insider program where you'll get to be one-on-one talking with me through text message. Till next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Appreciate all of you. Till next time, stay safe. Peace out.